hold on, and I want to address this too, because to me these are two very different conversations. First of all, go through my videos and find that for me. I'll be waiting on that one. I got an email. You can send it there. You can DM it to me on Twitter. But saying that a league is going to catch up, or hey, you know what, the league's going to figure you out a little bit, that happens really to everybody. At some point, the league like adjusts to you, and then you've got to adjust back. Like that's football. Like that's everything in football. That's
They quote unquote
an
figured out
offensive
Patrick
play caller.
Mahomes for 3
Right, that's
weeks.
an offensive play caller. That's a defensive play caller. That's Patrick Mahomes. They're like, okay, we're going to go too deep, and it took him a while to kind of figure it out. That is constantly happening throughout the league. That doesn't mean that's different than saying, oh, when the book comes out on him, he's going to suck. That definitely. I mean, go like I said, go find that comment for me. But
and that hasn't happened to Purdy either yet, by the way.
It hasn't. But but the other thing is this though. One thing that I said all offseason was he didn't have the offseason to get better. And Vish, you've had the same exact thing. We've both been very consistent with that. He didn't have the offseason to get better. So he's going to have to improve throughout the season.
I mean, okay. How do you get better? Mental reps, physical reps. He couldn't do any physical reps.
For sure.
But he did tons of mental reps. And I asked him directly in May after minicamp. I said, hey, where are you now in minicamp? This is with the surgery. It hadn't been throwing. Where are you now with this playbook, with this offense, with your maturation as a football player compared to where you were last year at this time? He's like, oh, my God, night and day. Last year at this time, it was a dizzying array of formations and plays, and I could barely remember it all. And I'm literally trying to remember everything about the play as I'm walking to the line of scrimmage to run the play. This year, I know the offense like the back of my hand, the bootleg game, the quick game, all the different things that stem off of every single play. So I'm just saying that.
But that's last year at that time. That was last year before he had played a snap in the NFL. Like those are, I understand what you're saying.
There's going to be vast mental improvement.
When I said it though, people automatically assume that it's coming from a negative spot. I actually said it to kind of protect Brock if it didn't look as good as what people expected, because where did you expect him to have time to rehab and actually get better? Now, what did end up happening is he came back earlier than I think almost anybody thought. I don't think anybody thought day one of training camp he'd be ready to go, or not many people did. So that did give him a few weeks to not only ramp up, but also possibly get better. But I think even the first few weeks of the season, I really think that you saw relatively the same player. Now you're starting to see that upward arc, where last week it's like, okay, now he's done something that he's never done, right? Now you're starting to see that improvement. And so now from this point forward, I think you're going to start to see those micro improvements. But it wasn't meant as a knock. Again, people hear what they want to hear, or maybe they hear it from the person that they don't want to hear it from, and they take it as a slight or a negative. And that's not always the case. When I made that comment, and I know, Vish, when you made that comment,
I wasn't referring to you.
No. No. Hold on. Yeah. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying comments like this. Oh, cough, cough, Jesse. Wait till people automatically go, oh, he's saying he can't get better. I never said that. I said, don't expect him to get much better before week 1 because he didn't have time. He was rehabbing. That's a protection of Brock. That is not a, right. Oh yeah, Brock sucks, you're supposed to get better and rehab. That's not what that comment was.
Right. And I think there's two things with that. One, I think that the way we're going about it is a little bit wrong. I don't think we should be talking about the people who are wrong about it. We should be more talking about how impressive it is that Brock has come back and it's been this seamless for him. That's not easy. And when you're talking about quarterbacks, mental reps, physical reps with lack of reps, we've seen Dak Prescott come back from a serious injury. It wasn't this seamless for him week 1. Brady coming back from his ACL. It wasn't this seamless for him week 1. Manning off of the neck surgery. Wasn't this seamless for him. So this is not like Brock Purdy is seamless even more compared to the rest of the league. And then in terms of the league figuring it out, the league hasn't come up with an answer to this offense yet with Christian McCaffrey. And that's with Brock Purdy playing quarterback, but that's also without Brock Purdy playing quarterback. I don't think that takes away from how Brock Purdy is done. at all. Like, he's done exceptionally well. But this idea that he has gone through the adversity of the league having somewhat of an answer to this version of the 49ers, he hasn't had to go through that. Maybe he never goes through that. Maybe the Niners are so good that nobody can find an answer to that. I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility with the way they look right now. But I think there is an opportunity, for example, if there is a team, maybe Dallas does that. And maybe Brock passes that test with flying colors. But I will say that I don't think we have seen him go through that yet. And I don't think it's detrimental that he hasn't gone through it yet either. Like, I don't think that takes away from the fact that he's been spectacular to start his career. Spectacular. It's just that, hey, these conversations that people had, I think that they were very valid within the context of which they were being had. I don't know that, hey, like that takes specifically. And Larry, you might have been referring to something completely different there than what Jesse said, but we got onto a tangent on what Jesse said, which in turn came to what I said as well. So therefore, we did have to mention that.
And Jakey says Jesse gets mad if you mock Josh Allen, so watch out. I don't get mad. I think it's stupid. Like, when you see a guy perform,
Josh Allen?
When you see, oh, trust me, after week 1, oh God, you would have thought he was awful. It was hilarious. I'm like, when a quarterback proves that they're elite for 3 years in a row and then they have a bad week and you're like, oh yeah, he's not good. I think that's a very bad take. It's a bad way to look at football and say that week to week, a player that's already proven they're great in this league, you can tear them down based off of a bad week. Sure. I mean, if that's the route you want to take, I don't get mad, but I'm definitely going to call it out because I think it's crazy. And especially when I spent all offseason arguing Josh Allen versus Burrow, I would love to hear the other side of that argument now. Nobody's saying that Burrow's better than Josh Allen at this point, but I had to defend that all offseason. So
Josh Allen is a special player. I mean, we're talking about a 6'6" player who plays with almost no fear. But, there was inconsistency at Wyoming, and you're still going to see a little inconsistency. But he's also mercurial, right? I mean, he's a mercurial runner, thrower. I mean, it's just he's not as consistent as some, but he's got higher potential than almost everybody.
He also last year he had a stretch where he turned the ball over a ton, and that's what people refer to. People forget he had a partially torn UCL. So Purdy had a fully torn UCL, needed surgery. He had a partially torn UCL and played through it. And people didn't want to give him any grace for those turnovers. But as soon as Burrow has a boo-boo in his calf, it's like, oh, well, I mean, he is hurt. He's hurt. I say that because you watched Patrick Mahomes with a high ankle sprain go out and beat Joe Burrow to get to a Super Bowl and then go win a Super Bowl when he was clearly hurting. If you're on the field.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Like, we've seen Rodgers go through an entire playoffs with the torn calf. And yeah, he didn't play that well, but yeah.
I watched Phillip Rivers go into a playoff game with the torn ACL.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens
right.
sometimes. It sucks, right? My point is that you can't hold one quarterback accountable for all those things and then ease off of another one because you like them more and all of a sudden, their injury doesn't matter, or they're injured, so they should get all the grace in the world. Like, why does Burrow? I mean, what has Burrow done in this league that Allen hasn't, other than make it to a Super Bowl?
What we need to do is just remember. Oh, I was just going to say, what we just need to do is remember that what happens with the quarterback. The quarterback is the head of the snake, but it's not the entire snake. I mean, you have a defense, you got coaches, you got different philosophies, you have play callers. Some play callers are really great. Some play callers move on, and it changes the dynamic. Sometimes your relationship between a wide receiver and a quarterback erodes over time. Sometimes guys don't work at it. I mean, people talk about sophomore slumps for quarterbacks. Sometimes quarterbacks have some success and they just stop working. They stop watching film. They stop working on their game and they regress. So it's like everybody's wired a little different, but you're right. Burrow's got Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. He's got big-time weapons. So why is he not playing as well? Why are the Bengals suddenly 1-3 and Burrow's coming off a game where he didn't throw a single touchdown? It could be anything. It could be anything from the play caller to the play sequencer to the weapons to the relationships. There's a lot of factors, but it all kind of gets dumped in the quarterback's lap every time, good or bad.